Yeah, 175. Nick, you gonna do that now? Go. Good job, Nick. Yeah, way to rip that. Yep. You took it relatively well, to be fair to you. All right, let's jump into this. Let's jump into this thing with David Bell. David Bell, he does this thing where it feels like when a couple of his guys get hit, he gets really defensive about it. And I know today there was a couple of things that I noticed. One was the speech or whatever term, the mound visit that David Roberts had today. I don't want to say that it motivated me, but it felt like, and I don't remember the kid's name that was out there, but he was obviously struggling with his command, hit a couple guys. David Bell's already hypersensitive to the fact that he's got so many guys that are out now because they've gotten hit in the hand or hit in the leg or whatever it may be, hand specifically, with CES and Friedel. But I guess to round this out, what I'm saying is David Bell, I don't think he's right. I'll just get out in front of saying that. I don't think he's right. Like, if a guy's not purposely throwing at your guys, it's hard for the umpire to want to throw them out. Like, and it's almost like what David Bell's asking him to do. It's like, if he can't control his pitches, throw him out. It's like, I don't think that's how it works. You know, I do think over time, like if a guy's hitting 5, 6, 7 guys, okay, maybe so. But the reality is he hit 2 guys. You can't throw a guy out. Now, as far as the retaliation, I know that there's people in the chat and there's other people that are suggesting like the Reds need to do something about this. You know, we didn't really get a long time to discuss this pre-show, but it's like, you know, clearly when David Roberts went out there, I don't know if you've seen it, Nick, but he was like basically hugging him and giving him a pep talk, because I don't know the guy's history, but my guess is that guy's history is he's had some semblance, not the yips per se, but he's had some semblance of control problems, and he was trying to motivate him and say, listen, you're good, you've been here before, you're talented enough to get it done, I trust you, I believe in you, you're going to stay in here and you're going to figure it out. And to his credit, he got out of the inning. And that was that bases loaded situation I talked about there at the beginning of the show. But I don't know, your overall thoughts on that whole sequence of events, because it felt like David Bell was asking the umpire, like, hey, you're going to have to throw him out of here if he keeps hitting my guys.
Well, he did also hit 2 batters on Fridays. That's 4 batters in a weekend. So I think David Bell, as much as anything, was just trying to, make sure the players know, hey, I got your back here. Because it's just been a season that's just been utterly ridiculous. How many times they've been hit. I thought that both managers handled the situation well. I thought David Bell didn't go over the top and blow up. I thought that was, mature way to handle it. Dave Roberts, he didn't get defensive. Oh, you're coming out after my guy. He said, hey, look, I get it, man. He's been all over the place. He went out and took care of his guy. It was a very mature situation from 2 managers that we don't really see a whole lot in baseball. Usually one has to, fire their ego or whatever. But I know a lot of people will vehemently be against this. I am as strongly against retaliating and hitting batters as you can be. I just think it solves absolutely nothing. It's dangerous. You hit one guy in the wrong spot, you could ruin his career. There's no place for that in baseball. And I'm proud of David Bell. One thing I'm most proud of him as much as anything is the fact that he's taken this strong stance. Because again, what happens a lot of times when you do retaliate, we saw this with the Reds and Pirates, is it doesn't stop. Like, you're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to get you the next series. Like, and it's a constant thing. You don't solve anything. It's just, it's toxic. You're going to end up, you risk ruining someone's career, someone's livelihood. So I'd never think the Reds should retaliate. I'm frustrated too. I'm sure David Bell's frustrated. I don't blame him at all. But I thought that the situation was handled very well, really all around.
I agree. I agree. And I'm not suggesting that David Bell was like arguing tooth and nail about it, but I know that there's been issues. This isn't the first time that David Bell's kind of done this, right? He's done this multitude of times throughout the season, to where if a guy has control problems, he kind of looks at the umpire and asks him like, hey, you need to solve this. And I guess my point is I guess that's a tough spot for an umpire. If a guy, it all comes down to intent. That's the reality of this. If you know a guy's throwing at your guys, there's going to be a higher probability of retaliation, of course. But as far as David Bell's mindset that goes into the retaliation stuff, I guess generally agree with you. I don't think retaliation really fixes anything. I do think there's a line in the sand a little bit at some point, though. Like, you can't continue to get kind of bullied, if you want to call it that. And I don't think the Reds have, to be very clear. But I think that it's one of those situations where if you eventually have to stick up for one of your players, then that's where the unwritten rules of baseball comes into play. I mean, that's just the facts of it. And I don't think that it's right per se, but I do understand why it exists, I guess is my point. So I kind of see both sides of the aisle on it. And again, I don't think today had any semblance of malpractice, one iota from the Dodgers guy. He just struggles with his command. And I mean, he wasn't Ricky Karcher bad, but what do you think that the who was that? That was the Rockies. What do you think they were thinking about when Ricky Karcher finally got off the mound? It's like if we face that guy again, it was the Royals. Yes, thank you. But nonetheless, yeah, it was a unique situation today. Shout out to that guy though. By the way, he got out of the inning. So.
Just such a mature handled situation. You don't expect that in Major League Baseball. You accept one guy to have their ego and fly off the handle. Both managers handled it really well.
Right. Dave Roberts could have taken exception to the fact that David Bell came out in the middle of the inning. Yeah. Kind of like he came out when he didn't theoretically need to, went to the umpire. I think Roberts obviously handled it incredibly well. He used that as an opportunity to kind of to go talk to his guy and try to make sure that. And I want to say this: if there was some retaliation thing, the Dodgers have a lot more to lose than the Reds. I'm not trying to kill us. I'm just saying there's a lot more money on that side of the aisle. You know what I'm saying? Like throwing at Jake Fraley and throwing at Shohei Ohtani, two completely different things. With all due respect, of course. So there is that. If you're Dave Roberts, the last thing you probably want to do is pick a fight with the Cincinnati Reds. It's kind of like, you better be careful what you wish for because that those guys don't have a lot to lose.
And Dave Roberts also has to realize that on the other side, it's all-star coach David Bell.
That's right. I mean, yeah. How could I forget all-star coach?
All-star coach.
That's what it was. Right. Yeah. All-star coach. How could I forget?